Get that basic rule down somewhere in your notes right now. To multiply / divide fractions, everything must be in fraction form. Now we'll get into further detail about what fraction form actually means. But it's a little bit different than the approach that we use with addition and subtraction. See, addition and subtraction, the main rule was that what? They had to have common. Do you see anything on the board right now that says anything about common denominators? No. So, we don't have to worry about that when we multiply or divide. Eli, get notes? Okay. I don't remember saying everybody except for Eli. And down. Where is it?
Down.
Where? In invisible ink? Sorry, Carlos too. Or Edsel. All right. Looks like everyone's got it down. Outstanding. So, for example, if we are going to multiply 1/3 times 1/4, how the problem is currently set up, how the factors are currently set up, I'm ready to go because they're both in fraction form. I have a numerator and a denominator. Doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be proper fraction form, just fraction form. I need a top number and I need a bottom number. It has nothing to do with if the top number is larger or smaller than the bottom. I just need a top and a bottom. And as we go, when you multiply with fractions, 1 times 1 over 3 times 4 is 1/12 in simplest form. We're good. Okay. 5/6 times 1/3, both in fraction form. So as I go across, 5 times 1 and 6 times 3, 5 and 18 in simplest form.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Question?
I was thinking about 6.
Well, don't think about 6. 6 times 3. Okay. Okay. 1/2 times 4/5. Okay. 1 times 4, 4. 2 times 5 is 4/10 in simplest form. No. What is it? Okay. Now let's take a closer look at the 1/2 times the 4/5. And this is something I'm going to want you to look at every time you multiply with fractions. There's a way in which we can simplify this problem before we even get to our product, before we even get to our answer. Look diagonally. Do the 1 and the 5 have anything in common that you can divide them both by? Let's then look at the 4 and the 2. Is there anything there you can divide both a 4 and a 2 by? 2. So let's do that. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. 4 divided by 2. Now multiply. 1 times your 2 and 1 times your 5 gives you your fraction in simplest form. Now, doing this won't always guarantee that your fraction will be in simplest form. Sometimes you'll still have to simplify. But if you don't simplify when you can, you will always have to simplify at the end. And some of you should know yourselves a little bit better. That just because you get an answer down doesn't mean you've got the right one. We get so excited sometimes that we just get an answer, we want to move on to the next one, and we neglect to simplify. Doing it ahead of time will really cut down on a lot of mistakes that you make just by being careless or rushing. Edsel. Yeah. 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 You have to do it. And we'll have plenty of practice with that. 5 times 3/5. The first rule that we need to follow when we multiply or divide with fractions is that everything has to be in fraction form. Is everything in fraction form? No. What is not, Carlos?
5.
How do I write 5, the whole number 5, as a fraction? 5/5 equals 1. Now you're reaching. Alexis. 5/10? 5/10 equals half. Desi. But I still have everything has to be in fraction form, which means I can't have a mixed number and a fraction. I need everything to be a fraction. Frank. 25/5 seems pretty big. And simplify 25/5, so I still have a top and a bottom. Not 1/5. 5/1. Okay, let's just go on a side note here for a second. How do I write the whole number 6? If 5 as a fraction is 5/1, what's 6 as a fraction? 6/1. What's 9? 9/1. What's 1,000? Give me a number. 200 is what? Okay, you got it? Or should we do a whole page worth? Eli? Sure. 674? Over 1. If you're going to make it put it in a fraction form. Good, now let's get back to the problem. Edsel. Anything in common diagonally between a 5 and a 5? What? Not a 1. And your name isn't Edsel. 5. How many 5s are here? How many 5s are here? Good. 1 times 3? 1 times 1. 3 over 1, right? Over 1. It's over 1.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you did 5 with the 8 on 5. You just said 5 over 5 is 1, so you did 5.
If I said that they have something in common, then I can divide them both by. I'm going to divide them both by that. 5 and 5, I can divide them both by 5, right? 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. That's what. I kind of simplify them before I multiply. Carlos.
Doesn't 1 have something common with 3?
Yeah, 1. 1 divided by 1. 3 divided by 1.
4 divided.
So that's why we didn't touch it, because it's going to stay the same.
Yeah, we're doing another.
Yeah, we're going to do plenty more. All right. Fraction form, 7/8 is good, but the whole number 7 is not quite yet until I put it into 7 over 1. Okay, so 7 and 8, can I divide them both by the same thing? No. How about 7 and 1? Well, no, I can only divide them by 1. It's not going to do me any good. So I just have to multiply. 7 times 7, 8 times 1. Is this acceptable as a final answer? No. How many times does 8 go into 49?
8.
6 is 48. How many are left, Edsel? So 6 and 1/8. Remember when we estimated with the fractions, saying 0, half, or 1 with regular fractions? Look at the 7/8. Closest to 0/8, 4/8, or 8/8,
8.
which equals 1. So if I were estimating, I would estimate and say 1 times 7. I should get an answer somewhere around 7 for this. Okay? Close enough to 7 where I'm not going to question it too much? Sure. All right? Listen.
So you have estimate.
You can estimate to help yourself. Absolutely. That's why we learn the skill. Okay? You'll still need an exact, though. Does it? It doesn't. That's why we have the 1 left over. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Carlos, don't look too excited about that.
Should we just leave there 49? I thought we had to do it all in fraction form.
That's to get there.
Oh,
That's the process. You always simplify. What's the rule for simplest form? As long as you are breathing, you put it in simplest form. Okay? You can't come back tomorrow and say, well, I held my breath every time I did a problem. I wasn't really breathing. Mariah. 7 go down to 6. Didn't go down to 6. You mean this 7 down to 6? It's just the way it worked out. It's just an estimate. This just tells us it should be close to that. Remember today I was telling you? You know, if it's in the same ballpark, that's okay, the estimate, right? That's in the same ballpark. Okay? Two times 49. 2 as a fraction. Anything in common diagonally between any of these? 2 times 4. 8 ninths. Okay. How about 2/3 times 9? So rewrite. Times 9 over 1. 2 over 1. Anytime you get a 1, there's not going to really be anything that you can do with it. How about 3 and 9? Can I divide 3 and 9 by the same thing, Mariah? 3. So there's 1 3 there. How many 3s here? 2 times 3. 1 times 1 equals 6. Now you did this already. You did this already. You did this for today. Yep. What number, remember? What number closest to 9 is divisible by 3? 9, it stays the same here. What is 9 divided by 3? And how many 3's do you need? Equals. So you've done it already to some extent. Give it a shot. 5 and 16. Anything I can divide 5 and 16 by? No. No. Can't divide those. I can't divide. No. How about 12 and 3? What? No. By 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is... I'd rather multiply 16 times 4 than multiply 16 times 12. So Edsel, you're the one that asked, do I have to do this? Well, sometimes it comes through and it's actually much easier to do it. 5 over what is 4 times 16? There it is. Because then otherwise, you have to simplify 15 over what? 192? Does that look like a fraction you want to simplify? I'd rather simplify the 3 and the 12. You are right, Mr. Lorette. Go ahead. Go ahead. As always, Mr. Lorette. All right, fraction form. 5 over 1, 7 over 10. 5 and 10. Divide them both by 5. 1 and 2. 1 times 7. 1 times 2. 2 into 7. Desriana? 3 with 1 left over. 3.5. Now estimate. Go back and estimate. Keep the 5 the way it is. Now you might say that 7/10 is closest to half because it's closer to 5/10 than it is to 10/10, right? What is 5 cut in half? 2.5, right? What do we get? 3.5? Ballpark? It's going to be a little bit bigger than half, right? Because it's 7/10. So it'll be a little bit bigger than your estimate. Yes. No, you still multiply that way. You only simplify diagonally, and then you'll go back and multiply the way you should. Because 2 goes into 7 how many times? 3. And what is 3 times 2? How many are left over? And what was your denominator? Yep. Now, I did this one on purpose this way. They're both in fraction form. The obvious one is the 5 and the 20. Because you say 1 5 there, there's 4 there. But the 9 and the 12, is there anything you could divide a 9 and a 12 by? 3. What is 9 divided by 3? What is 12 divided by 3? So 1 times 3 and 4 times 4. And there you go. Pardon me? Because I saw a lot of this. I saw a lot of this. 9/48, and you circled it. Okay? That's why you need to look closer, because, like I said before, for us to just get an answer and to circle it and say we're done, we don't look as closely as we should, because I know what 9 is divisible by. You could still catch it, Lexus. You could still catch it. Because you know what 9 is divisible by. It's divisible by 3, and it's divisible by 9. You check the 48. What was the divisibility rule for 3? The sum of the digits. What's 4 plus 8? 12 is divisible by 3. So you can still catch the fact that they're both divisible by 3. Or you can catch the fact that these are divisible by 3 and do it there. See, I think it's easier to locate that relationship with a 9 and a 12 than it is with a 9 and a 48. Okay? So what you do early may determine how much you have to do later. Okay? Okay, make sure you're looking on the side that has 8-2. It's 2 sides. So 8-2, we're going to do 1 through 15. Okay? 1 through 15. Just 1 through 15 on 8-2. Okay? It's 2 sides. One side is 8-2, the other side is 6-2. So 8-2. Okay?